1, 2, 3, 4.
Mrs. and a mic, you don't need much more.
4 misses.
Come on.
4 misses.
Come on.
5, 6, 7, 8.
It's your favorite podcast, so save the date.
4 misses.
Come on.
4 misses.
Come on. 4 misses and a mic. Come on. 4 misses and a mic. Come on.
And we're on. Hello. Welcome to 4 Misses and a Mic, everybody. We missed you guys. Yay!
Hi, guys.
Emotions. So we're back today. I'm Bree, and I am joined with CC, CJ, and L, my 4 Miss family members in the building.
Hi.
So what are we getting into today, guys?
Today's topic, coming live from Cece, is
Drum roll, please.
would you? That was a good drum roll.
Thank you.
Would you accept a $75 engagement ring?
Ooh. You know what? I am not going to be the first person to
Well,
voice my
we were
opinion,
waiting on you to be number one.
because I'm going to be accused of being really shallow, but
Because you are. Because if your mister would have come through with a $75 engagement ring, you would have told him no.
I would have told him, I love you very much, but you need to do better. But we'll get into that in just a second. Elle, do you want to take this one?
Well, knowing what I know now and being the person that I am now, I would have accepted no ring. I would have accepted an onion ring as an engagement ring because he is the love of my life and I don't care what he would have given me. Back then, it was a different story. I wanted the ring that I wanted.
Now, I have a question. When you say now, is it because, he's the love of your life and you're happily married and everything, and he's frugal?
Yes, he is frugal.
We'll just say that. Is that why?
No, it's just because being, who I am now and, it's been 10 years and, I think about like all the other things we could have bought with the money we spent on the ring or he spent on the ring, things like that. Just being, I guess, more mature about it. I guess. I don't know.
I think it sounds like her mister is rubbing off on her.
I was just about to say, I think he's brainwashed her.
But what you guys don't know is that I'm pretty cheap as well.
Now.
No, I've always been, but not as bad as he is.
I just find it hard to believe that you're cheap. You've always been cheap, but you have the ring that you have. Because your ring is not cheap.
Well, I mean, when we were dating and, I wanted the ring that I wanted and I wanted it to be nice and everything. But just knowing what I know now, I don't need that,
But I can say this is a testament to how much he loves you because you don't understand how much it must have hurt him physically and in his soul to buy that ring.
This is very true.
So he really loves you.
Okay, so for the record, Elle, you are saying back then when you got engaged, it would have bothered you to have a $75 engagement ring, but right now you would have taken anything.
Right.
In the space that you're in now.
Exactly.
So I'll go ahead. You want to go?
No, I was going to ask you, what do you think?
So for me, I think that the ring should be a surprise. It should be something they do on their own. So we never shopped for rings. We never looked at rings. I've never been like a huge jewelry person anyway. So maybe that's my bias. But honestly, I really just wanted it to be a surprise. I wanted it to be something that came from him. I wanted it to be just a gift from him. I wanted the surprise, but I wanted the fairy tale. I wanted to be married to somebody that I was in love with. And I wanted the big wedding and the white dress and the horse and the carriage. So that's, for me, that's what it was. So the ring didn't bother me.
That's so benevolent of you to say on this podcast.
It's real life.
But you, Miss I Don't Like Jewelry, has the most wedding sets out of all of us.
No,
Every time I turn around, her husband is buying her another gorgeous ring set.
Because he likes to buy jewelry for me, and I think it would be very ugly for me to say no.
That's a nice way to take the heat off of you, Miss I Don't Like Jewelry. She's literally like, which wedding set can I wear today?
Anyway. But we've grown, though. We've grown. I mean, we started in the beginning just like every little married couple. You start off with your little struggles, and then you make your way into something even better. So I feel like for me, it was growth for us. So the ring to me didn't matter. I just wanted to get married, and I wanted to marry him. So that's what it was for me.
That's really sweet. What about you, CJ?
So I will say that when we got engaged, the ring did not matter. I, like Cece, did not do any ring shopping. I did not send any pictures. He may have asked what cut I wanted, but that's it. I had no input in the ring, and it really did not matter to me. As a matter of fact, after we got engaged, I remember talking to a friend of mine and telling her that I was so happy we got engaged. He could have tied a piece of string around my finger and I still would have said yes. I think as time went on and getting into the social media and that hype, I started thinking, well, maybe I'll add a band to it, or maybe down the road I'll upsize. And I had to check myself because I think that was me being really superficial and being caught up in the glitz and glam that you see through social media, and having to realize that all of that is not authentic, and remembering what's important and what matters. So right now I'm back in that space of, it doesn't matter what the ring costs. It doesn't matter how big the ring is, as long as there's a ring and we're both still wearing them and wearing them for the right reasons.
Excuse me. I just had to clear my throat for what I'm about to say. Hi, it's me. First name Super, last name Fischel. Absolutely no. Would I have ever said yes to a $75 ring? And there's a few reasons. Number one, I'm not that girl. I love jewelry. I love diamonds. I love the nicer things in life. I'm not trying to, my last name's not Rockefeller or Hilton or anything like that. But no, I was not walking around the rest of my life with a grain of sand and a string on my finger. It's just not happening. And also, if he knows me, which I hope he does, if he's telling me that I'm the person he wants to spend the rest of his life with, then he should know that I'm not the girl that would say yes to that kind of ring. The kind of ring that I would say yes to is a very expensive one. And I feel like if he was not in a position to afford that kind of ring, it probably was a sign that maybe he wasn't in a financial position to be a husband. And what I mean by that is, should the chips fall, can you provide for me? And can you provide for me the way that I need to be provided for? And if you can't, then are you the right man for me?
So what if his credit was great at the time?
It was.
And he just hadn't spent money on anything else. And at that moment, he was able to buy this really expensive ring.
He did.
And then after it was all said and done, it was just because he put everything into that, he had nothing else to support you.
So this is the thing. If that's all he had, then that's not enough.
Ooh.
And shout out to my husband. He has great credit. He had great credit, but he paid cash. Boom. But seriously, and I know this is going to come across really shallow, and it's not. It's just me being able to identify that his version of our lives and my version of our lives are in sync.
So for you, the ring was an indication of his financial ability to support the lifestyle you wanted in marriage.
Correct. Let me just put this little asterisk next to that, though, because I don't want people to think she's just a gold digger. I've never asked him for anything that I could not give myself.
Okay.
So I was never looking for a man to support me or to spoil me in manners that I could not support and spoil myself. He did not upgrade me, okay? But I needed someone to, for lack of a better term, match my fly, basically. And my fly was not a $75 engagement ring. Does that mean I don't love my husband? Of course it doesn't mean that. I love him with my soul. And would I have married him? I would have married him. Not at that time. Because I would have needed to know why. Why are you coming at me with this K Jewelers Midnight Special?
So what if he, what if he would have said that?
Would have said what?
Right now, I just can't do this.
And I would say right now is not the time, babe. But I love you and I'm here.
So what if that was a deal breaker for him?
Then it was.
Really?
You can't fault me for making it.
No, I'm not.
No, but
I'm
what
not,
I'm
not
saying
at
is,
all.
if that's a deal breaker for him, then again, he's not the guy for me. Because I'm not leaving him because all he could afford was a $75 ring. I'm just telling him we're not ready. We're not at that point yet. It's just it's not the right time. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
And I knew, excuse me, I knew that the man for me would be someone who was driven enough and hardworking enough and ambitious enough to provide those things for me. And if he couldn't, then that was an indication that he's probably not the man that I need or that I wanted.
So even today, you would take the same stance.
Absolutely.
If you knew that down the line everything would be perfect, if he would have given you that $75 ring on the front end.
I wouldn't have known that because he wouldn't have given me an indication that everything would have worked out. Because to me, this was an indication. I'm stable. I'm ready. I can provide for you. I am grown man enough basically to make this kind of commitment to you and to our lives and to our future. And I have my ducks enough in a row. Basically, like I have my shit together. And that to me was, can you come correct with the ring? And also just, my taste preferences.
Okay, so my question is for Elle because Elle, I know you said when he proposed you wanted a certain type of ring. If he had said, I can't give you what you want right now, but stick with me and we'll get that ring, what would you have told him?
I would definitely have stuck with them. If he, I trusted him so much and, obviously still do, I would have just, took his word for it. If, he wanted to upgrade me later or whatever, that would be, fine with me. I still would have said yes. And I mean, honestly, I'm saying that I wouldn't have accepted a $75 ring, but I just loved him so much. Maybe I would have. And,
But this is my question. So if you're willing to say, like, I'm okay with, I know things are not the way you want them now, but just stick with me. Well, where does that line stop? Does that line stop before he says, I know I can't seem to get it together now, but just stick with me? Or I know I can't seem to be faithful now, but just stick with me? Or I know I can't seem to get my baby mamas in check, but just stick with me? Like, where are you willing to say, no, before I say, I am marrying you, I'm spending my life with you, I need to know that this is right and this is how things will be and you have it together. Like, where is that line?
So the ring for me, though, isn't indicative of that.
right.
The ring for me was, I'm serious enough to put this on your finger and take this journey with you and let's grow together. Let's see where we end up.
Okay.
Let's do it together. So for me, it was...
Excuse me, guys. I'm sorry.
It was growth. It was let's start
piggyback
here and
off
see
of
what
that
happens.
then, because you basically said like the ring is indicative of I'm serious enough, but how serious is it to get 75? Like, speaking relatively, because I think at the time we all got engaged, our husbands were making enough money to where $75 was not a large amount of money to be spent. So how is $75 indicative of your seriousness? Men, I think, are very prideful with that kind of thing and how much money that they're able to make, not just to flash or anything, but just as providers or something like that. And so for a man to go out and spend a large amount of money, like with your husband, especially considering how frugal he is, that showed you how serious he was. You are the one. I would never spend this on anything else or anyone else. But here I am willing to put this out there for you is indicative of his seriousness. To me, $75, they spend more than that on tennis shoes.
So
yeah, but there are people out there that will spend $10,000 on a ring and
not be able to afford a wedding.
Or you can not
then your
have a
priorities
wedding.
messed up. I mean, come on now.
No, or after that, they'll treat you terribly.
Right.
Like,
so,
the ring for me just isn't indicative of
But also,
what's
I
to
mean,
come.
it's the right ring, but it's from the right person. I'm not saying that as long as he came with this, 3-carat diamond, then I'm saying yes. Well, I wouldn't accept a 3-carat diamond from just anybody. It would have to be the right man. But the right man, to me, would come with the right ring.
So I think it's important for us to understand what a milestone it is for a man to not only decide he wants to marry somebody, but then to work up the courage to actually propose to her and actually be in a space in his mind and in his heart where he is committing himself and his life to this person.
And that's the indicator. That's what I'm saying. The indicator for me was him deciding I'm ready to do this because this is the commitment I have. And the ring was not, the ring size didn't bother me at
I mean,
that
that's
point.
great, but I kind of feel like to an extent, talk is cheap. Like, put your money where your mouth is. Prove to me it's a milestone. Prove to me it's serious. It's a big step. It's a huge deal.
But
because prove to me it's more than just, will you marry me? Oh, and will you go with me to Wingstop later?
No, because every man is not in a position to afford, thousands of dollars worth of diamonds or whatever the case may be, but they will be an awesome husband, they will be an awesome provider, and somewhere down the line, you stick with them long enough, you'll get that 4, 5, 6 carat ring, flawless diamond on your finger type thing. I don't think that a woman should say up front, if she knows, because that's important, if she knows that this man is the man for her and he will be a good man, if she knows that, I just think it's wrong to say, because you could not afford the diamond I want, I'm not going to marry you.
Okay, number one, I just want to say, like, I'm not unreasonable in the things that I want. I would never ask my husband for, the Beyonce Jay-Z diamond. He's not Jay-Z.
We're not saying that.
But you're saying, every man cannot afford. Well, why can't you afford? Let's examine that. Let's examine where you are in your life and why you're there. Is it because you have bad credit? Because, baby, you got to fix that before we get married. Is it because you have a lot of baggage of ex-wife who's, you're paying alimony to? You have 3 baby mamas who all have you in child support. We need to talk about why you can't afford it. Now, if my preference is just not that ring, but my preference is something else, that's fine. But it can't be just because, well, I just can't right now, but I'm going to get you later. No. Then maybe we don't need to get married right now. Maybe we need to get married later.
That's fair. I can understand that.
Oh, well, y'all coming to my side?
Oh, no.
No.
No, I mean, some people don't find certain things as important as other people. Like, for instance, my wedding. We didn't spend hardly anything on our wedding.
Your wedding was really sweet.
I mean, yes, it was, but a man might not think, oh, it's very important that I get this really lavish, expensive ring. He might, know his wife. His wife might not be, lavish ring,
Right.
So for you, your husband knew that's what you wanted.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So,
I'm not saying I'm every woman. I recognize there are women who could not care less about a 5 carat diamond on their hand. But, take them on a beautiful vacation somewhere and spoil them with spa treatments or flowers or romantic sonnets or something. That's fine.
Right.
Give those things to her. But the man that can provide that for you is the same kind of man who can buy me my ring. And those men, I feel like, are ready to be husbands, to be providers. And if you cannot do those things, again, we need to look at why you can't and if that makes sense for us to join this union. Because marriage is not only just a relationship, it's not only, a commitment in the eyes of God, it's a contract. And it's like a business contract. So before we have this merger, I need to make sure that like our assets are going to align and that this is a symbiotic relationship and it's not a parasitic one. Because like I said before, I've never asked him for things that I could not provide for myself. So if you're not on my level, maybe it's not smart for me to enter into this with you at this point.
And maybe that's perfect though. I mean, for everybody it's different.
Right.
And I think that if that's what works for you, because that could have caused a huge problem down the line. If he brought you a $75 ring and you were like, all right, just to get married,
Okay,
let's
but
go with it.
I would not
we
have
know
started.
we know
Just
we know
look it out.
Yes,
but,
we know.
But all things aside, down the line, that could have created problems for you guys because you weren't on the same level. So for you, that was a huge indicator. And I think everybody is different. So now that you've explained it, I think everybody
it doesn't
understands.
seem as shallow.
No,
Well,
you probably like
we're
it
not
4 feet of
saying
water
that.
instead of 3.
I just think I just think it speaks volumes to the fact that marriage is not a one size fits all
Definitely.
right type
I
of
100%
situation.
agree with that.
And when a man is getting ready to propose, he knows his future wife.
Yes,
and he
absolutely.
knows what she likes and what she won't like and what she'll say yes to and won't say yes to. I have friends whose husbands have gotten second jobs just to be able to afford the ring that they wanted. and that was their preference. That's what worked for them. He knew who he wanted to marry and which he would say yes to, and he worked for it. So, yeah, I think, marriage is not a one size fits all, and the man who's going to be with you and for you will
Do what
He'll
needs
know.
to do.
Hopefully.
He'll know what.
But just in my world, there's not a $75 ring scenario that works. Sorry.
Well, I'm
just
very
wanna-
happy he got the ring he got. Mr.
I just want to point out that my in-laws have been married over 30-something years, and she told me
Shout out to them. Woo!
she wears her ring around her heart. She doesn't have a ring. They don't have rings. I just found that interesting.
There's a
That's
ring around
nice.
my heart too, but it's 5 carats.
There's also one around
It's cushion cut. It's deep.
all right,
flawless,
all
VS
right,
Oh,
all
okay.
right, all right. All right, and that ring around the heart thing is not going to work over here. Mr. CJ better have a ring on his finger, and I will have a ring on my finger.
Absolutely, at all times.
I mean, sometimes the lotion might slide off a little bit.
That's why we should just all get them tattooed on, and there's no sliding.
My
All
mister
right.
is all about that.
I am too, but I guess
Maybe-
that's a discussion for another day.
Maybe so.
Maybe so.
Do we have a question today, guys?
Yes, we do. So this question comes from Alex in Nettery.
Hi, Alex. Thanks for
Hi,
listening.
Alex. And she asks, what words of advice would you give to a woman who is actively dating and waiting on her husband?
I want to go first.
Well, you go ahead, CC girl.
I think the biggest thing you could tell someone that is waiting on their mister is to listen to your gut. I think that we all have this sixth sense, and I think it comes right from our abdomen that says, this is right, this is wrong. And if you feel in your gut that this is probably not right, it's probably not right.
That's true. And
I
I think, especially
agree.
for women, we're so intuitive, and sometimes we silence that voice
I
trying
think
to
so.
fit like a square peg into a round hole, and that will never work in a marriage. You have to be you, and you know what you want, what you expect, and you have to have that.
And then to treat every relationship differently.
Really? What do you mean by that?
I mean, you can't be as guarded. I think we all, once we get out of a bad relationship, we hold the next guy accountable.
Don't take your baggage with
Unjustly.
you to
Exactly.
the next relationship.
Exactly. I
Yes.
think you have to give every guy the same shot you gave the first.
Which is so hard because it's like you're gun shy. You know,
Yep.
you're scared to get your heart broken, so you put walls up, but you're saying you shouldn't make the next man pay for the last man's sins.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What about you, Elle? Anything you say to Alex?
Wait to show you're crazy. No, I'm just kidding.
I think we all have that.
Don't bust the windows out after the first non-answered phone call.
Or bust the skid plate. But chink.
Take the Louisville Slugger.
Actually, I'm not. I mean, it's been so long. It's been 10 years since I dated,
We're rusty, aren't we? You know what, guys? Just stop listening right now because we don't know what we're doing. Just kidding.
Maybe we should edit that part out. Do not encourage them to stop listening.
I'm kidding.
So my advice would be to stay true to yourself. I think a lot of times as we're dating and as we get older, we want to compromise more and we want to bend a little bit more on our own morals and values for the sake of finding the right man. And I think that regardless of your age and regardless of how long you've been looking, the right man will appreciate a woman who is sure of herself, who knows who she is and what she wants, and will be willing to work with you. I just don't think that you should get into a relationship and then regret bending a little bit, because I think you bend a little bit now and then you'll be doing a ton of bending, as the relationship goes on, and marriage, there are compromises in the marriage. You don't want to do that. So I just think be sure of yourself and hold on to that throughout the relationship.
So I agree with everything you guys have said, especially what CJ just said. Do not lower your standards. If you have an idea of what you want, go get that. Don't feel like, well, the clock is ticking and the pool is getting shallow. I need to accept anything from anyone. You don't need to make every Mr. Right, because you will regret it later. It will never work out in the end. And even if you're still together, you'll be miserable. And a miserable life is not one worth living. But my advice is, do you. Don't listen to these people that are like, oh, you have to subscribe by the 90-day rule and he has to do these things in this order or it won't work or anything like that. Just go with the flow. If you don't want to wait 90 days, do it, babe. Because let me tell you, no, seriously, no one's buying a car without test driving. And that is the truth. That is the truth. You do not want to be stuck in a marriage with bad sex.
So listen, he can test drive, but 6 months in, when you are sure that he's worth test driving, okay?
How does he know that he's sure you're worth test driving?
No. When you are sure that you're willing to let him test drive, you have to give him the keys.
I'm just saying, maybe I'm willing to give the keys a little sooner because I have needs.
They sell resources for that.
Yeah, but that's not a replacement for the real thing. Let's
No,
be honest.
it
And why invest all your love and emotions and then 6 months down the line you test drive and it's poo. And now you're stuck at a crossroads.
Can we just say not satisfactory?
Okay, it's not satisfactory, poo, whack, whatever you want to call it. It blows, sucks, whatever. It's not good. And now you're stuck with the conundrum of, do I stick it out in the hopes that it will improve because I really care about him and I like him? Or do I exit stage left because there's no way I'm dealing with this poo test driving for the rest of my life?
All right, Miss $7,500 ring. We're gonna save your comments for the next one because
First of all, my ring was more than $7,500. Thank you.
And second of all,
Listen, I think this goes back to the point that I was making in terms of bending on your morals and your values.
Right, absolutely.
If it's important for you to wait a while to have him really work for this relationship and to show you that he's worth giving the keys to, then I think you wait. And I think, to be honest, the man who feels like he's going to dip after 3 months was probably only wanting the test drive anyway.
So why not get that out the way in the beginning? I mean, if he's gonna dip after he gets the keys and drives, then let's get that over with early on if we can. And then I don't have to waste my time with you.
Or we could just spare the body count.
Why do we care about the body count? No one cares. There's not a space on a job application for your body count. When we die, we're not going to say, here lies Cece. She did all these amazing things and her body count was XYZ. Like, it doesn't matter. It was one. If that's what you want to go with, then it was one. I don't know what it is. I'm not shading her. But what I'm saying is that shouldn't matter. Don't succumb to society's rules on what you have to be in a relationship or how it has to go or the path you have to take. If you are a woman who enjoys driving cars, drive it.
So then maybe that should be the advice.
Exactly.
Don't feel like
That's
you have
what I was
to.
saying. Yeah,
Right.
You don't.
Yeah, there's no
There's
actual
no secret.
rules. And
Right. It's not to say that 90-day rule is going to solidify that this dude is going to be the one, because just like CJ just said, after that 3 months, he might dip out because that's all he wanted.
But I think what's really cool about the four of us is that our number three or our the one or our misters came at different times in our lives. We all weren't married at 25.
Correct.
So I think
Were
that's
any
what
of us married at 25?
that.
I was 26.
But anyway,
Oh.
it was just one of those things where we all ended up at different points in our lives. It came for us. We all didn't have fairy tales. Is my point.
But I
correct?
feel like it comes at the right time.
It comes at the right time.
And
I
when
agree.
you don't expect it. So that's why you
Yes.
should just be you. Just go
Yes.
out and live your life. Basically, there are no rules.
Right.
There are no rules.
There are no rules.
Go with your
so
gut.
Alex, go with your gut.
Be
Don't
you.
lower your standards. Be true to yourself and live your life. That is the advice we have for you.
Oh, wait. I feel like this is the most important piece, though. Know what you are looking for in a man, and
That
then
is so
trust
important.
your gut.
Yes. You
Know what
really
you're
need to
looking
soul
for.
search and figure out what you want as your partner. By the way, I just want to say this for all of our LGBTQ listeners out there. if your partner is someone of the same sex, a lot of this advice 100% applies.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
So
Everything,
Alex,
yes.
if you're looking for a she instead of a he, same rules. And I still
Exactly.
think you should test drive early, but that's just me. Y'all, you know what? Y'all can call me the shallow hoe if y'all
We're
want
not
to.
going
I'm
to
okay
do
with
No,
that.
we didn't say
We
any
respect
of that.
We respect your
I own
honesty
it.
and we
Shout
respect
out
your
to Amber
you.
Rose. Like, I own it, okay?
We did
That's
not
me.
say any of that.
We did not.
Okay.
We
All
respect your
right.
honesty and we respect your opinion.
All right. Well, it is time for us to wrap it up.
Already?
Yes.
Oh, that's important also. Wrap it up, Alex, when you're test driving. Just want to say that. Okay.
That
Back to
that
you,
is
CJ.
important.
Thank you. We
Alex.
appreciate
It
that.
is.
Yes.
It is
Always protect yourself.
very important.
Seatbelts and
Extremely
airbags.
important.
Seatbelts and airbags. Trust me, girl, they're important.
Yes.
They are important. But go ahead. Anyways.
And you guys can follow us on Instagram at 4 Mrs. and a Mic. And if you have questions or comments, you can email us at 4mrsandamic@gmail.com. That's the number 4 Mrs. and a Mic @gmail.com. Thank you guys for listening. This has been another edition of 4 Mrs. and a Mic. I am CJ.
And this is CC.
And this is Elle.
And this is Bree. And once again, I want to leave you guys with a little bit of words of wisdom. Today, I picked a quote from a very prophetic person, Mr. Brian Baby Williams. When the light hit the ice, it twinkle and glisten. Y'all be blessed. Bye.